Right, excellent. Well, welcome everyone to our professional development session. My name is Joe Kwan. I'm the Executive Vice President of Marketing on the ALPFA New Jersey board. I have with us our Director of Events, Chris Ramos, and we have two very special guests from our sponsor, CVS. They are Pamela Bruto, who's Retail University Relations Manager, as well as Amanda Kelly, who's a talent acquisition manager. So we have a really exciting and informative session for you today in terms of professional development. They're going to talk about some of our favorite topics, which are personal branding, executive presence, and professional networking. It's never too early or too late to really concentrate on those topics. So Pamela and Amanda, really curious to hear what you have to say on these important topics, as well as to hear a little bit more about your retail opportunities. And then also at the end, we will have a giveaway, which CVS has generously sponsored for 2 pairs of Apple AirPods. So Pamela, I will hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here today. I know we are all over the virtual atmosphere. We're finally getting back to some things in person. So I appreciate you taking the time probably on your lunch hour to join CVS Health and ALPFA today to talk about personal branding, networking, that presence that you put out there in the world, to learn a little bit more about CVS Health, and then to talk about our retail management opportunities. So to kick things off, Amanda and I will tell you a little bit more about ourselves and our roles with CVS Health before we move forward. So Amanda, why don't you start?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, guys. So as you've heard, my name is Amanda Kelly. I am a pharmacist, and I've been with CVS Health for 11 years, but I've been everything from an intern to a pharmacist to a district leader to now I work for corporate and talent acquisition. But the big thing that I want to say is that I started right where you guys are as a student with this company. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about your brand and your future. And I'll let Pam introduce herself.
Thank you. My name is Pamela Bruto, and I am a Retail University Relations Manager. I have been with CVS now for about 2.5 years. And in my role, I work with students like yourself in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania to talk about these professional development opportunities, and specifically to help you find positions within our retail stores. So that is our retail management internship and our store manager in training role. So we'll get a little bit further into that closer to the end. But my previous experience, a little bit different than Amanda's. Again, I've only been with the company about 2.5 years. Before that, about 7 years of experience in higher education, in college admissions. So if you remember when you were in high school and all the colleges and universities would come to the lunchroom or to the library and talk to you about their school, that's what I used to do. And I used to think it was the coolest thing in the world to help someone find where they were going to spend the next 4 years of their life. But now I have the opportunity to help people find jobs, and it's an amazing opportunity at that. So enough about us. Let's talk a little bit more about the topic at hand. But first, I'm going to ask you, if you have a smartphone, to take that out and open up your camera app. And we have all seen this before, this QR code. All you need to do is hover over this code with your camera app, and it will open up a page to fill out our talent form. And our talent form is an opportunity for me to follow up with you today after our discussion and give you more information on our opportunities. Even if retail isn't immediately on your radar, maybe it's something you'll be interested in down the line, or if there's other opportunities within CVS that you're interested in, you have the opportunity to get notified by entering your information into our system. I also have included there my direct contact information, my cell phone number, and my email. I will say this time of year, it's typically a little bit easier to get me via email, but whatever you prefer, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So I will leave this up for just another second. If you didn't have your phone by you right now and you have an opportunity to grab it later, I will bring this information up again at the end. All right, so let's start things off with personal branding. And I was just saying before everybody hopped on the call that, back before I got into the workforce, I had no idea what a brand was. So I think that Jeff Bezos of Amazon summed this up really well. A brand is what people say about you when you aren't in the room. So in short, it's your reputation. It is your unique promise of value. It is what you are going to bring to a company on a personal and professional level. It's important to deliver your brand clearly and concisely to show that promise of value and, again, what you're going to bring to the table. So that's what we're going to dive a little bit deeper in today. Beyond just developing that personal brand, now that we have a general idea of what that even means, we're also going to talk about ways to appropriately convey that brand, because that's just as important as the message is the delivery of it. And finally, on how to enhance your online brand. And we're talking specifically about your online brand today, because even though we're slowly getting back to those in-person interactions, I think that a lot of companies and a lot of individuals have realized, like, hey, this is really convenient to do virtual interviews or to do virtual meet and greets and presentations. So that's why we're kind of focusing on that specific medium this afternoon. So when thinking about your brand and the development of it, I want you to think of a few instances of where this would come up that you would have the opportunity to develop and to present this brand. Number one, when you find yourself in an elevator with Bill Gates, that's just who we chose. Think any famous person that you would like to make a good impression on. When you're in an elevator with them, what would you say? Or what do you say about yourself when you meet a professor or a school dean? Or this dreaded question, I think it's dreaded because I always go completely blank when someone asks me, so tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What are you interested in? I automatically forget like everything that is of any interest to me. So it's important to think about this, to practice it, to put it together before you get into this situation. I think most of you have probably heard this term before, an elevator pitch. So that's a statement to introduce yourself, describe your professional value and who you are. When you're thinking about putting an elevator pitch together, there are a couple of really big components that I want you to remember. Number one, you want to keep it brief. So I say approximately 30 seconds. Of course, nobody's going to have a timer out there seeing how long you're speaking for. But once you start getting into 1 minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, you're a little bit lengthy for kind of what the purpose is here. You also want to make sure that it's conversational. So people relate to people. And I know it's really easy right now when we're in this virtual atmosphere to have things written down. I mean, I have notes here today. You'll probably see me peek at them. But even on the phone or over WebEx or Zoom, people can tell when you're reading directly off a piece of paper. I know personally it's really helpful for me to write things out. That kind of helps it stick in my brain. But then you want to work through that and doing it in a more conversational way. You also want to make sure that your pitch is focused. So if you are speaking to somebody about a career potential in retail management, maybe you want to talk about the customer service experience you have and not quite go into all of your experience as a veterinary technician, something that's a little bit unrelated. So you want to focus on the task at hand and who you're specifically speaking. And then finally, you want to make sure it's purposeful. So this is something when I'm doing my pitch, I always kind of forget this last bit. You want to have an end statement that's asking or stating what you're looking for, what the purpose of this pitch or conversation is. It's a really nice way to end things and tie things together. So when you're thinking about putting this together, some other things that I want you to include within that 30-second statement. Number one, your name. Sounds silly, but always the best way to introduce yourself. Sometimes I think at the beginning of these presentations, I even forget to say my name off the bat. It just sounds like it feels a little odd. Sometimes it feels corny, your name's on the screen, but it's always just the best intro to start out with. You also want to highlight your educational focus or your major. So I have come across just like a lot of really lengthy, wonky names for majors sometimes. You know, if you're studying business management, everybody kind of knows what that is. But I've seen some things that are leadership and ethics and professional development and interpersonal communication, like very long-winded things. So it's always nice to maybe kind of sum that up if it's something that is not really a well-known major or focus area of study. Talking about that professional experience, again, we're only looking at about 30 seconds. So you want to keep it concise and focused to the person or the employer that you are speaking with. And finally, that call to action. So what you value, what opportunity you are looking for, what is the purpose of this conversation? Now, it's easy to kind of say all that, but it's harder to kind of picture what I mean if you've never heard an example of this before. So I always think the best way is to kind of give you my elevator pitch. And I will tell you that every time I do this, it sounds a little bit different, but you'll see kind of the core elements here that I spoke about. My name is Pamela Bruto. I am a graduate of Bloomsburg University with a bachelor's degree in communication studies. And most of my experience up until this point is in college admissions. I've worked at a small for-profit trade school, a larger private science-focused school, and an even larger public state university. So that's given me the opportunity to work with people from a variety of different backgrounds. I moved to Philadelphia in 2013, and I have been with CVS Health as a retail university manager for about 2.5 years now. When I'm not working, I love to spend time with my mini poodle, Cole. He'd be embarrassed if he knew this was the picture I was showing of him today. But today I'm looking for a marketing opportunity with XYZ company, and I'd love to hear what you have to offer. Boom. So that sounded a little bit different than the last time that I gave this presentation about a week ago. But you can see that I kind of hit on those key points. I talked a little bit about my education, my experiences, what I'm doing now, and what I'm looking for. I also think, and this is just personal opinion, so it's up to you, I think it's nice to add like a little bit of a personal touch in there. I add my dog. If you're somebody that's interested in some sort of, painting or some sort of athletics, if you are in an organization outside school, I think it's always just nice to bring in something like that to make you look like a human, again, to help people relate to you. So that's completely up to you if you feel comfortable doing so. I will say if it doesn't feel like you, if it doesn't feel authentic, then that's certainly something that you can leave out. All right, last thing I think I'm going to make mention of here before I pass it off to Amanda and she gets into a little bit more of the networking piece is on professional presence and body language. So these things you can obviously understand which are maybe in the virtual atmosphere and which are in person, and some of them have some crossover. Dressing professionally is definitely one that has some crossover. Number one, it's again that brand that you put out there. It's how people experience you. So being in professional dress, whether in person or online, is important. Now, I also feel that this helps me from my end. When I am in my dress code, I give off a different presence than when Amanda sees me on our phone calls once a week and I have my hair in a messy bun and I'm still in my gym clothes. You just present yourself a different way. Quick example, I will say years ago, I was applying for a job, and this was before like Zoom and WebEx stuff was really big. And I didn't want to put on my suit coat. Like I just felt silly. I was sitting in my living room, but I did. And I ended up getting the job. And a couple months later, I had been talking to my manager and they had told me that the interview actually came down to the fact that I had been dressed professionally and the other person had been in a t-shirt. So just something to keep in mind. Sometimes you and another candidate are like neck and neck as far as you both have great experience, you have strong GPAs, but there needs to be something to set you apart. So I don't say that to scare you. I say that to tell you the importance of these seemingly little things that you see on the screen. Obviously, if you're in person, a strong, firm handshake is important. Maintaining eye contact, again, this goes either way, in person or online. I know it's hard, even after all this time working from home, it's still hard for me to look directly into my camera rather than just at the screen. But I know that when I'm talking to people and they aren't looking at the camera and their eyes are kind of going all over the place, it's a little bit distracting. So important in whatever medium you're on. Maintaining an upright and confident posture. I always have to fix myself here whenever I say that. But again, it's just all about that body language and the nonverbal presence that you're giving off. Make sure you're not crossing your arms. I know sometimes I get I move my hands a lot, do it in person or behind the computer. I think it's just a way to get my nerves out. But keep in mind any of those movements that could be distracting. And they're just natural. They're just things that we do. So that's why it's important to kind of practice these things and think through these things so they aren't happening once you get out there on the real interview or the real meeting with somebody. Smiling, again, I know it sounds corny, but someone had told me years ago, you can tell when someone's smiling, even if it's on the other end of a phone line. And I believe it because I feel myself when I am smiling on the phone and I'm, giving an offer letter or something along those lines. There's a lot more excitement in my voice just from smiling. And again, people can sense that on the other end of the line. And finally, making sure you have questions and your elevator pitch prepared when you are speaking with anybody professionally. I know sometimes you have questions prepared on an interview and sometimes the recruiter ends up answering them for you. But I encourage you just to have some safe questions, like some things that an interviewer is never going to just offer without you asking them is what their favorite thing is about their job or what their favorite thing is about the company or what a typical day looks like, why the position is open, what success looks like in this role after 30, 60, 90 days. So those are just, again, I call them safe questions because you're probably going to need to prompt a recruiter to get a response there. Do a quick Google search and you'll find a million of them. But this is important because it just shows a higher level of interest that you have in the company by having questions prepared. So with that, I will take a pause and I will pass it to Amanda to talk a little bit more about networking and specifically how to enhance this brand online.
Thank you so much, Pam. So guys, listening to Pam talking about personal branding and what you can do differently, but just hearing it from that recruiter lens that she has, like this is the time too that if you have questions or there's things you want to know more about, I encourage you to write those down so that at the end we can answer some of those for you. So now that we have an idea about personal branding, like how do you take that to the next level? I'm going to speak to you about networking, but really about enhancing that online brand and what you can do a bit differently. So what is networking? Professional contacts, social contacts. There's so many ways to build your network and they all intertwine. So it's a deliberate activity to build, reinforce, and maintain relationships of trust with others for mutually beneficial reasons. Interesting, right? You think about how can it be mutually beneficial? But they help you to achieve goals. They help you to grow yourself, but also to get that next rung on that business ladder together. Because ultimately, you never know when someone in your network can help you with a position that you're interested in, or just advice on interview skills, or just little things that can really get you to that next space is key in building your network. So the question to ask yourself is, how does networking build your personal strategy and your professional strategy simultaneously? Because you'll be surprised by how much they intertwine. So on the next slide, you'll see networking quadrants. Kind of silly, right, to look at it like that. And I want you to think about how you network day in and day out. Have you ever broken it down into quadrants? Have you ever thought about it in that way? When you look at it and you actually examine what these quadrants are, they interact and they're different, but they're all about how do these individuals know you? How do they know your work? And how does that work out in your networking for the future? So peer networks, these are individuals that know your work. They might like it, but they might not know you, like what makes you tick about you personally, whether they're on a project with you as a group or something of that nature. And then you think about company or school networking. So these folks know you, they like you, and they like your work. So that's kind of like a double fantastic quadrant, right? Like these are your networks that are the closest. They know a bit about you from your personal and professional standpoint. And that's kind of that sweet spot that can get you into where you need to be for the future. We go down to social networking. So these are friends that know you well, but they might not know how you work or, that work side of things. And then you think about traditional networking, which is they don't know you well, they don't know your work, and these are individuals that you're just trying to connect with to see what we can do for the future. So throughout your career and your future, you'll lean on these networks in different ways, and they're going to teach you different things, but personally and professionally, these networks are going to help you grow. But what can you do now to grow these networks is the question. So we'll talk a bit about one way to build your online brand and to grow your network. So how many of you guys are on LinkedIn? See it in the chat. How many of you guys are on LinkedIn right now? Got one yes? Yep. Good. So if you think about it, approximately 590 million people worldwide use LinkedIn. 27% of those are Americans. That's 160 million Americans that use LinkedIn because they want to grow themselves personally or professionally. So sites like these, they don't only offer that connection socially, but they offer personal development classes, jobs, professional connections, but also that ability for you guys to fluff your own feathers, for you to highlight your accomplishments for the world to see. So when you take a look at your LinkedIn, what's on there? And what do you want the world to see? So this is where I would challenge you to update your bio. Is it that snapshot of what you truly want your connections to see? Is it that elevator pitch that you can put into words and make that something that individuals see as soon as they're looking at your profile? Update your picture. Make sure it's a professional headshot that you have on there. But start building your social network by following individuals or groups that can lead you where you want to go. Nurture that network. Like posts, reshare things that resonate with you, but befriend those socially that will give you an insight into your future and your future career goals. So it's not just saying, hey, I went to the University of Hawaii, so I'm only going to friend individuals that went to school in Hawaii, or I work for CVS Health, so my network is just anyone and everyone that works for CVS Health. You want to broaden your horizons. You want to make sure that you're connecting with individuals on multiple platforms that will help you for your future. And you'd be surprised how many individuals start to share things on networks or will start to say like, yeah, I'm getting more comfortable or confident in it. But then you look at their connections and they have 50 connections on there. So they're really sharing, their thoughts or their ideas with those same 50 people. And you don't understand that there's a huge world out there that can really get you into a great space if you build that network really thoughtfully. And then when you look to the next slide, it just talks about content. The most important thing when you're talking about your online brand is to be authentic. So be you. People relate to people. You know, people want to work with people that they relate to or that can help them, right? And your network is there to support you, but you need to support it as well. So it's just as important to update your profile and share your accomplishments as it is to recognize others around you that have an accomplishment or have something exciting that they want to share with you about a new job or a new degree that they received or certification, anything. Sometimes we take for granted how huge of an impact you can make just by recognizing someone or thanking them for their support. So authenticity is at the core of building a strong network, and nurturing that network will be pivotal in helping you guys to get to that next level. So just a couple things for you guys to think about when it comes to inspiring personal and shout outs. So I'm going to tell you a bit about who we are at CVS. And I think it's important for you to want to work for a company and know what we stand for and what we're about. So on the next slide, you'll see our purpose statement, and it is bringing our heart to every moment of your health. New for us this year, and it's fantastic thinking about that. We work for a Fortune 4 company who's up in the ranks of Amazon and Apple, whose mission is really about bringing our heart to our patients and our customers. So we just rebranded this, and it resonates with me because we're really committing ourselves to that action to keep our heart at the center of our work. And that's why when I think about these events, I think about what are we looking for? We're looking for individuals that put people first, that rise to the challenge, that know how to collaborate and join forces for that greater good or for that customer or patient, but that we also can create simplicity, that we're really making sure that we're doing things that it's the simplest way to really help those individuals that we work for each and every day. So it's just about culture and keeping these things to the forefront of our minds and developing our colleagues into strong future leaders. And that's what we're looking for here, right? It's just individuals that can really lead and be that face to CVS Health. So I'd encourage you to consider if this mission statement or this purpose aligns with your own values. And then the next slide really talks about one of our hard at work behaviors, which is putting people first. So it's kind of reflected in the value that we hold for diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So we have over 300,000 diverse colleagues that work for us. And inclusion and belonging is incredibly important, that everyone that works for us has a seat at the table, that we have that open-ended caring for one another, and that it's not just a sense of belonging that our colleagues have, but our customers as well know that we are a family, and that's what's first and foremost for us. So for you guys, we have colleague resource groups that you'll see a few of them up on the screen there, but there are opportunities for all of our employees to get involved and to gain exposure with people from other backgrounds, beliefs, experiences, and anyone's welcome to join. We have 22,000 individual colleagues across 15 CRGs. And those that are a part of these, they don't have to identify with the various groups in order to take part. It's just about being allies and wanting to gain more exposure and really get us to understand what these groups and these individuals can do to teach us to be better for the future. So I just wanted to give you a little glimpse into that before I pass on to Pam to talk to you a bit about our opportunities.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. So now everybody knows how to develop their brand, how to convey their brand. You've heard about CVS, and hopefully you're really excited about our brand and you want to know how to get involved, how to be a part of it. So today we're specifically going to end with the opportunities that we have within our company in retail management. So bear with me while I try and stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to reshare another screen and kick things off with a super exciting video.
There's a lot that goes into it.
There's never a dull moment.
You're always kind of tackling something new.
I was doing real work. It takes a lot of leadership and people skills.
You're talking with your manager every single day.
They really want you to learn. They saw my leadership potential. I love helping someone.
We all have this connection, like they were so willing to help me. This is my work family.
I definitely felt like I was a part of the management team.
They really made us feel important.
I get to help people with their health every day.
You definitely feel like you're making a difference.
CVS really loves their employees. They're open-minded to accommodate different types of cultures.
They're not just a healthcare company, but they're really innovative.
This program brings you out to the front. It was really eye-opening.
All right, so I know sometimes that's a little bit choppy, but hopefully you were able to get the gist there of what our opportunities include. So give me 1 second to share my screen again. And Amanda, are you seeing back on the slideshow?
Yep. So I can see the retail management video slide.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So going back to that video, I can tell you they are not actors in that video because Kira was one of my retail management interns last summer. She interned with us in New York City, and she is now in our store manager in training program and well on her way to eventually managing one of our stores in a gigantic market in Manhattan. So that could be you if you are a junior in college on this call. So just to get an idea, in the chat, can I hear if you are a junior, if you are a senior, maybe you've already finished school, just to kind of get an idea. More experienced, awesome. Anyone else? Any college students? Anyone already out there in the workforce? All right, well, more experience as well. Well, I know we got a mix, so I'm going to tell you about the two opportunities that we have. So for anybody who is in their junior year right now, we have an exciting opportunity in our retail management internship. And what this is a 9-week paid summer program where you're essentially learning the ins and outs of how we manage one of our CVS retail locations, one of our CVS stores. So you are getting exposed to things like how we manage the financial budget, sales, merchandising, very large aspect on the inventory in the store, asset protection, customer service, payroll. Again, a little bit of everything it takes to successfully run a business within a Fortune 4 healthcare company. Now, our management teams are small, so everybody has to do a little bit of everything. So there are certainly days where it's kind of all hands on deck where, everybody is unloading the truck and front-facing product on our shelves. It's definitely not a job where you're going to be behind a desk all day. You're going to be out there interacting with customers on your feet. We want someone that is agile and resilient and really thrives in this fast-paced environment. Some of the highlights of this summer internship, number one, are travel days with our district leaders. So district leaders are people that oversee somewhere between like 10 to 14 retail locations, say in North Jersey. And you have the opportunity twice throughout the 9 weeks to go out to maybe a higher volume store with them or a lower volume store than you're typically working in and get that next level exposure. Another highlight of the program is the Capstone Project. The Capstone Project is an opportunity for you to identify a real world problem that you see in one of our stores and then implement a solution to that problem and report back at the end of the summer to the leadership team. So some examples, I can tell you that Kira did her project. Again, she was in New York City, so near a lot of the embassies. And what she did is wanted to get the word out there that we do passport photo sales at our stores. So she had sent letters to all of the embassies and she reported back on what those results were. So that was very successful. We had another student that wanted to engage employees a little bit more, and she did a stepper challenge where everybody got a pedometer and whoever had the most steps over the course of a few weeks received some sort of prize at the end. So you can see that you can go a lot of different ways with this. Sometimes your solution is successful, sometimes it's not, but a learning experience and something for us to kind of make better one way or the other. Now, the whole goal of this program is at the conclusion in August, you are made a full-time job offer as a store manager in training that would start upon graduation in either December or the following May/June. So how awesome as a junior that going into the beginning of your senior year, you can have a job offer already on the table. Makes things a lot easier as you're finishing up your degree. So that again is specifically for anyone that might be a junior, or maybe you know someone who's a junior. This would be an opportunity for them. Now, for those that are a little bit more experienced, if we have someone that is in their senior year on this call, the opportunity that I'd like to present to you is for that store manager in training role. So two kind of ways to get into it. As a junior, completing the internship and getting a job offer, or directly applying in your senior year or after you've already finished your degree. Very similar to the internship in what you're learning. You'll see there the foundation of leadership skills, again, big on that inventory and merchandising, financial management, leadership, team building, development, etc. But going a little bit deeper at this level. I know the word training, it always throws people off, but it is a full-time paid benefits eligible position. And it's self-paced and extremely structured. So self-paced in that if you're someone that has quite a bit of experience, maybe you move through the training phase in 6 months. If you're somebody fresh out of college, really don't have any kind of management or retail experience, maybe you're looking at closer to a year before you transition from a training role where you're working directly under a store manager to then a promotion into a full store manager, where that location is now yours and you are running the ship more or less. Now, if you're sitting on this call thinking like, I don't want to be a store manager, like that's not my lifelong goal, good, because that is not our goal for you either. These are foundational ways for you to learn the front door of the business and continue to grow to the next level within CVS Health. So where can you go with starting either in this internship or directly in our store manager and training program? You can see that's at the core, but that will open up potential opportunities as a district leader. So overseeing multiple stores. Maybe you find that you have a real passion for asset protection. You want to get into more corporate-based positions. HR is something, working with people is something that you're really into, or talent acquisition, like Amanda and I. So again, these are great first steps to really project you to the next level of your career.
And when we talk about networking, this is where those individuals that truly are your peers or are your managers or are your district leaders identify you and your potential to get you to that next level. So it's really truly all about networking and building that professional network for your future. So sorry, Pam.
No, that's okay. That's a great way to kind of pull it all together, pull together the purpose of what we talked about today and building that brand, getting that brand out there, networking with individuals that can help you get to the next level. And again, learning about the opportunities we have for you to do so. So as promised, you joined a little bit late. I did bring the QR code back here up on the screen. That's how we're able to follow up with you after today's event and in the future. And I know I didn't want to bring the chat up while Amanda was talking because I was worried it would kind of throw her off if it shares on my screen. But I know there were a lot of great comments coming through in the chat that we appreciate. But this would be an awesome time if you want to unmute yourself or add a question in the chat about branding, about CVS Health, about experiences Amanda's had as a district leader or my experiences as a recruiter that we would love to share with you.
Great. So thanks, Pamela and Amanda, for your presentation. I do have a question for Amanda. Really interesting when you were talking about the importance of having different types of people in your network, and it's kind of diversity in action. So just curious to get your personal experience, how having different type of people, right? Not just people that you might expect in your network has sort of played out in your career or others that you've seen and experienced benefits from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that we all tend to gravitate towards individuals that are like us, right? Like I think it's only human nature for us to have that bias where we will, if someone, you know, has the same interests then that we do, we'll gravitate towards them as a friend. Or if someone has a job similar to us, we'll gravitate towards them from a networking perspective. But I'll tell you, that only gets you so far. And until you broaden that network and realize that there's so much that you can learn from individuals from other walks of life, that it teaches you not only to be a better person, but just professionally to kind of get you outside of your comfort zone. So I'll tell you, even when I applied to pharmacy schools, I was thinking, like, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to a local university where I know everyone and I'm in my hometown? And everyone thought I was crazy when I went to apply to school in Hawaii because I live in Pennsylvania. And I remember going to the interview and everyone had aloha shirts on and they were from Singapore and Australia and just so many different cultures. And I remember getting that offer a week later to go into school and I said, 100% I'm doing it. I'm moving across the world and that's what I want to do. And I just remember just truly immersing myself in the culture and the people in even just learning about different things. And I'll tell you that it made me a better person, but it made me realize that those individuals can get you anywhere that you want to go. And those are the individuals too that will call you out and get you outside of that comfort zone to help you grow more professionally and personally. So I think it's just about challenging yourself and don't always stay in that same lane and stay with the same individuals that you gravitate towards or what have you, because I'll tell you, those are the people that will say, hey, Amanda, you know, that job just came about that I think you would be amazing at. That might not even be something that you even thought about or that you were interested in, but you opening yourself up to other individuals with different, you know, thoughts and different experiences can get you to have different experiences yourself.
Thanks so much.
Great question. Other questions out there again, and doesn't have to be related to CVS. You have the insider scoop right now with two folks out there in talent acquisition, recruiting, and talking to candidates on a daily basis. So we would love to share any knowledge we can.
I know I joined a little late. Can you talk about what programs you have in place or systems in place to ensure that as people enter into your organization that they're supported, encouraged, nurtured, sponsored, mentored up throughout to the highest levels?
So Amanda, I can talk like briefly, maybe just on some mentor opportunities and the CRGs, and then maybe if you want to highlight like some of the DLE. Oh, okay, awesome. So yeah, as far as something that really helped me when I came on board was mentoring opportunities that we have with CVS Health. So I was partnered with someone that had been with the company for quite a few years, and you can kind of make it your own. We had, I think it was weekly touch bases, then bi-weekly touch bases, just to have somebody that you can go to for questions and not kind of feel silly, outside of your immediate coworkers, was really helpful to me in the transition. And my mentor, again, there are, formal programs in place for this. She helped me to find some kind of next level development opportunities and to step outside my comfort zone. So that's something that made my transition a bit easier. I was coming, as I said, from the higher education world to a corporate background. So that was a scary move for me, and that made it a lot easier. Something else we have that, again, formally set up are the colleague resource groups. We're currently at about 15 of them, but it's always growing. And Amanda noted it, but I think it's worth repeating that these groups, you don't have to identify as a member of that group to be a part of it. And I think that's the best way to get involved, is hearing about the experiences and the backgrounds of people that are different than you. So I have been involved in them in the past, one specifically for women within the company, and you're getting a lot of diversity of thought and background just from that. And I will say that, hearing those different experiences, hearing what is going on out there in the world, specifically from my recruiter perspective, has helped me to be a more empathetic recruiter, to understand different backgrounds and differences in how people present themselves in different backgrounds. So that's something else that is a great opportunity. A bonus of being a part of such a large company is you have all those differences in thought, and you have all these resources available to you. You just have to reach out and grab them. So that's kind of like company wide, but Amanda could give some insight on some other programs, like from more of the retail sector too, that help.
Yeah, so I'll tell you guys too that when we're thinking about our internship and our grad SMIT programs, we vet those mentors before we let anyone into our stores. We make sure that it's not only our district leaders, but our region directors, our HR partners, that they're making sure that those coaches, those mentors that are in place are the most driven, the most highly performing, but also the individuals that care, that really want to develop their team. And I think it's important to note that no matter where you want to go in this company, we have a structured program where we make sure that you have a mentor, you have a coach, if you will, that's going to help you get there. But we have very structured programs that if you said to me tomorrow, Amanda, I just finished my internship, I want to be a grad SMIT, but 2 years from now, like I picture myself getting into HR, we're going to get you there. Because if you're driven and you want something for your future, we'll do anything that we can to support you. So for instance, after you become a store manager with us, we have a Foundations for Leadership program. So FFL is what we call it. And that's when those individuals that really want to do more, whether it is corporate or HR or district leaders, they come into this group and learn about competencies and leadership skills and, how to get to that next level. And that's where they then become an emerging leader. So that emerging leader can be, we have it for whether you're interested in being like a loss prevention, asset protection person, or you want to move into corporate, we have specialized structured programs that will get you through that. Even as far up as our region directors or our DVP, we have emerging leader programs for all of those. So it's really cool to see that anything that you want to do, we're open and we want to help you get there, because this program is all about individuals that not only have store manager potential, but that you can be our next division vice president or CEO. So that's what we hope out of the groups that we bring into these programs.
Wow, sounds pretty like a robust infrastructure to move people in and up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm getting some experiences now on the pharmacy side of our business also. And that is, nothing like super formal, but it's something that I reached out for, I had an interest in, and I'm getting exposure again to that next level. So, so many opportunities. When people ask me what's my favorite thing about working for CVS, I always say the development. You're not being like pigeonholed into just one area. There are so many different parts of the business that you can get into and the support to help you get there. So if we have any other questions, we are happy to get them answered. I'll take a pause before I announce some exciting news before we wrap things up. So any ending questions? All right, well, I was chosen to be the bearer of the exciting news of the winners of the AirPods, and those two winners are, yes, drum roll, thank you for the drum roll, are Tammy and Karam. I hope I'm saying Karam right. So congratulations, Tammy and Karam. I am assuming, gentlemen, will you be in connection with those folks on how they can claim them? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
All right, yay, yes, Tammy, awesome. I wish I would have signed up for the AirPods raffle. But thank you all again today for being here with us. It was great speaking with you. Appreciate the participation in the chat. I read back through it, and I love the excitement and the comments you were able to provide. We hope to hear from you again soon. Again, please reach out to me if you have any further questions. Reach out to Amanda and I on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. But again, for your time, Amanda, anything else from your end?
No, just excited for you guys, excited for this time in your lives where you're thinking about your future and your career goals, and hope that today will really help you to be excited and build that network, but to build your personal brand. So thank you all for your time today.
Pamela and Amanda, just to close, it's Joe again. Just wanted to thank you for all this excellent information. Just wanted to share what I experienced on the calls. You're both great ambassadors for the CVS brand. So thank you so much for sharing all the great opportunities that they have. And I just want to reiterate to folks on the call, even if this is not something at your stage, we all have friends, family who are in school or working their way up. Just to let them know about something like this is being a really helpful network member, right? Just saying, hey, maybe you have someone who's a sophomore or junior might be interested in this, let them know, because this could really unlock something incredible for them. And you would have been the one who helped unlock it. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, everyone, and congratulations, Tammy and Karam.